and welcome back to the final character analysis, at least in terms of the characters that can be unlocked via the Infinity Rifts and are available with the base value of the game. And that is none other than the Mad Titan Thanos himself. Now, Thanos is a powerhouse, and boy is he difficult to unlock, but well worth it if you're willing to put in the time and the sacrifice. Now, before we jump into his abilities and his background, I do want to remind you that if we hit 50 subscribers before the end of the year, we will be doing a subscriber giveaway. So be sure to subscribe if you have not done so already to become eligible for that, and I will let you know of the details when that comes available. But Thanos is one of the older characters from Marvel Comics, though not there from the right at the very start. His first appearance was in February of 1973, and that was in an Iron Man comic, the Invincible Iron Man number 55. And he's just kind of grown and become even more of a menace ever since his first introduction. Now, Thanos is an Eternal, and thus has the superhuman physiology of an Eternal, which brings with it certain benefits, which includes, but is not limited to, superhuman strength, speed, stamina, durability, agility, and longevity. He also has the ability to produce plasma energy projections, and apart from being an Eternal, he also possesses a genius-level tactician knowledge and is a skilled hand-to-hand combatant. So a very terrifying person to come across in the field of battle. Now, the Thanos that you fight in the main story has a lot of different abilities that you don't get access to once you have him unlocked, but that doesn't make him any less terrifying to use once you have. The 4 attacks that he has access to are as follows. The Cosmic Charge, where Thanos gathers energy in the character's right hand and then releases the energy in an explosion as he punches. This can be charged and aimed in the direction that you would like to unleash the blast. The Incineration Beam is his second attack, which includes or is comprised of a beam of energy that is released in the direction that the character is facing. This is an attack that you can hold to channel the energy, and you can influence it as you move it across the field of area where Thanos may be attacking. The third attack, which he gains access to, is the Crushing Blow, where Thanos will rush in, grab and lift the enemy in front of the character, and then pummel them, which is certainly terrifying to showcase. Note that this attack will only lift the character if they are a base rate grunt. If they have a stagger bar or if they're a boss, you cannot actually pick them up, but the animation does change if that's not an option or that is not available. Their fourth and final attack, apart from his extreme attack, is the Ultimate Power, where he warps close to the enemy and then crushes them. This is an attack that you can press the button repeatedly to rinse and repeat the action of. Now, in terms of the synergies that Thanos has access to, he doesn't have a whole lot, or at least not in comparison with some of the other characters that we've seen, but they are maximized with this team setup, which involves Magneto, his adopted daughter Gamora, and his nemesis, Captain America. But before we jump into the rift to showcase what he looks like and how he works, let's have a look at the rift where you obtain Thanos and have a brief chat as to how you are to do that, because it's a doozy, let me tell you that much. So you do unlock Thanos here in the Lambda Rift. You need to complete some missions in order to get to him and make him available. However, it is important to note that there are certain missions here that are locked to the requirement of discovering the Infinity Rifts in the superior difficulty of the main story quest. So you need to play through the whole story, and then you basically need to play through it again on the superior difficulty and locate those rifts. You don't have to finish out the story quest in order to get there. You just need to get basically to the end of it, where it has you start fighting members of the Black Order as the final rift for this boss wave challenge. is found on Nowhere, which is basically the last area that you would go to. But the actual fight to unlock Thanos is miserable, to say the least. Now, I had mentioned that the Loki Rift was previously the hardest fight that I had to do, and I stand by that being difficult. But this is so much more a difficult fight than that one was. Because at least with the Loki fight, you took on the members of the Black Order individually, and once you knocked one out, the next one came around. In this rift, you are confronted immediately by 3 members of the Black Order all at the same time. Those members are Ebony Maw, Corvus Glaive, and Proxima Midnight. And as soon as you knock one of those characters out, it doesn't matter which, you are greeted by the 4th member of the Black Order, who is Supergiant. After you defeat one of those 3 characters, you are greeted by the 5th member, who's Cull Obsidian. And after you knock out one of those characters, Infinity Gauntlet Thanos appears. And then it's a pretty straightforward shot once you got into there. And by straightforward, I mean even more difficult, because the characters get more and more difficult as they go on. As a matter of fact, the only way that I was able to clear this rift is I had Wolverine on my team, who, if you haven't seen my character spotlight of that, please do, because he is an instrumental and integral part of any team that you should set up in this game. It took me various tries and adjustments to the ISO upgrades and the skill tree enhancements, but eventually it was just Wolverine, the last character left standing, no more revives left in the mission, and I took out the final member of the Black Order, Cull Obsidian, which just left Wolverine and Thanos. And basically at that point I had to resort to doing chip damage and rushing out away from his special attacks, as Infinity Gauntlet Thanos has access to all of the attacks from the Black Order, which just isn't fair. But at the end of the day, we were able to finish it, and I'm never doing this rift again, because it is that much of a pain. And it probably took me 30 to 40 minutes just in this fight once I ran it from start to finish. But let's stop complaining about the difficulty of this fight and showcase what Thanos looks like once you do have him unlocked. Alright, so a couple of important things to note about Thanos is he has a singular jump. He does not have a double jump. He cannot fly. But his heavy attack, or his aerial, is a downward falling slam onto the ground, which at this level of a rift will one-shot any enemy that he lands on, which has its advantages to be sure. His medium attacks involve a 4-hit combo, which do knock down at the end if he doesn't kill the character that he is facing off against. And his heavy attack is a reckless charge forward that will knock down the characters that he's facing and provide a substantial amount of damage to shields and stagger bars. Now, in terms of the attacks that he has access to, we first have the Cosmic Charge, where he will charge an attack and then lunge forward and strike the opponents directly in front of him. And it does a significant amount of damage through shields and basically knocks out any character that might be immediately in front of him. The Incineration Beam is one that you can hold and continue to use, and you can just basically melt down any character that is immediately in front of him. And it does drain your stagger bar, or your XP bar, your mana bar, for lack of a better term there, pretty quickly. But it provides some decent damage output if you need it to. Now, the Crushing Blow is very scary, as he will rush forward, grab a grunt, and pummel their face. But if you try using this attack on a larger opponent or a boss, and he cannot pick them up, he will just slam his fist down to the ground, possibly in frustration, but regardless, to deal some pretty hefty damage. Now, the ultimate power, you can spam this attack. You are susceptible to getting knocked down, but he will teleport to a nearby enemy and unleash a couple of melee attacks. And he does tend to teleport to characters that are nearest by in the direction that he's facing. Now, his ultimate attack is best used in large groups once you're centered in the middle of them, where he will do 2 slams into the ground and then rise up and fall down on the opponents, crushing them. Now, he can be knocked out of any of his charging attacks, but he's very much a powerhouse and will easily roll through basically any challenge that you might need or confront. So he's a powerhouse for clearing out some of the more difficult rifts or other challenges that you might need to focus on. So if you feel up to the challenge, by all means, go after him, try to unlock him. But it is a royal pain, and you better be well prepared and have a decked out roster. But that being said, thanks again for your support on this series. Remember to hit that subscribe button down below. We'll be back on Monday with another character analysis, this time looking into the free DLC characters, starting with Cyclops and then followed by Colossus. So thanks again for your support, and I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day.